Well, hello again there, Aquarius. It's September 2022 already. Didici here with your Wheel of Karma, that horoscopic wheel which is going to show us what's happening to you, those of you born under the sign of the water bearer, Aquarius. If you know your ascending sign is Aquarius, or perhaps your lunar sign also being Aquarius, you might want to apply some of what I have to say to you today to your life as well. But on with the show, and the really big transits that I'm seeing here for you this month, your friendly planet Venus, moving into this 8th house on the 5th of September to augment an already deep probing sun in this 8th house of Virgo. Virgo is a very analytical sign, and there it is there, Venus moving in there. This is the sign of intimacy, the sign of love, the sign of sex. It's also the sign of psychology in a way, deeper tantric issues. So, you know, when you've got two planets transiting this area, and also I want you to keep your eye on the ruler of this area, which is Mercury up here in the 9th house of spiritual seeking. Then some deeper spiritual and philosophical insights can be had. And interestingly, it relates to the sun, which rules this relationship area. So the 7th house of marriage, relationships, 8th house of intimacy, psychological blocks, Mercury, communication, investigation, and the 9th house, which has to do with research as well, higher knowledge, spiritual information. There it is on the 11th, going stationary and then retrograde. What you'll see here is that this area of the horoscope is going to be powerful in bringing your attention to those areas. On that point, on the 10th, there was a full moon. I just missed that here from the 2nd house, which is your finances. I made a note here. Greater attention to financial and legal prerequisites are necessary to gain greater profitability. Now also, this 8th house is the money you share with other people, the money you acquire from the bank, wills and legacies, that sort of thing. So anything in that realm that you may be dealing with needs a lot of attention to detail, especially during that full moon phase that I mentioned here in your 2nd house. The reason for that is that the moon rules your 6th house of debts, enemies, liabilities, that sort of thing, similar to this 8th house, although this is the money you borrow and in some cases get without any effort. Here, these are debts that need to be repaid. And with that full moon there, on that date I mentioned, the 10th and the 11th, that's going to have some impact, and you may need to be a little bit more careful with your pennies. There on the 19th, we see Mercury in opposition to Jupiter. That's a classic combination of overconfidence. Jupiter in your 3rd house. Look at all these retrograde planets. Pluto, Saturn in your sun sign, Neptune, Jupiter. The node is generally retrograde, Uranus, and then we have up here Mercury. Definitely a period for all of us to be reflecting and going over some old ground, especially in that financial domain. Don't be overconfident with whatever is presented to you during that phase, leading up to the new moon and maybe even beyond, because although we see here Sun is going to move its position on the 23rd there into the sign of Libra, your 9th house. These are legal matters. At the same time, Mercury transits back out in its retrograde motion into this 8th house. That's why I said big focus, a concentration of energy in this area. There's the moon, Venus and Mercury bringing you into that dimension of intimacy. Now, intimacy, usually we refer to that as being the connection we have with other people, to look into them, into me see. But here it's about it looking into yourself as well. And the new moon there on the 26th in your 9th house shows that the spiritual mind can open up to new ideas. Being open to those ideas doesn't necessarily mean you're going to act on them immediately, because that retrogression of all of those planets is a cautionary note that you have to acquire all the information that you need. Don't be overconfident. Pay due diligence and attention to this second house of finance, 8th house of shared resources. There on the 29th, Venus moves out of that area as the Sun did just after it, to further accentuate this 9th house of learning, higher wisdom, gaining insights, researching. So this month is definitely about research, understanding all of the perspectives that are necessary to make a decision. That's it from me, but there's more at astrology.com.au. If you're popping over there, we've got the transit list for September. We've got the dailies, the weeklies, the yearlies as well, which are going to be a help in helping you contextualize where all of these predictions are in the timeline of your life, Aquarius. Drop me a line. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll be here next month. Hope you'll join me. Bye-bye for now.